and welcome to Light for Life. If you are returning to our channel, thank you. We value and appreciate you. Our aim is to shine a bright light on your inner splendor and assist to connect you to your magnificence via what we intend to be enlightened sharing, potentially educational and hopefully entertaining information, as well as encouragement for new perspectives. If you are new here, you are most welcome. We do hope that you will find our content highly beneficial and enjoyable. I am Liss. I'm a Science of Mind practitioner and a teacher of various healing modalities applicable to all aspects of the self and this life.
And I am Lori. I am a holistic wellness researcher and educator. Welcome to Connections with Liss and Lori. We use the space to offer our perspective regarding multiple different topics that we certainly hope you find inspiring. Today, Liss and I are going to share our perspectives regarding resistance and what that can look like in our lives, what that can feel like in our bodies, and how that inevitably is going to play out in our relationships and in our work. And for me, even in our sleep. I am no stranger to resistance. I'm going to be brutally honest here today with this one. I was full of resistance without even really having any idea that that's exactly what I was doing. And I actually became quite a pro at resistance. If I was good at anything, I was good at resistance. And what does that even mean? Well, some things happen oftentimes in childhood that we're not comfortable with. I think anybody who doesn't live under a rock has had experiences throughout their early years that made them uncomfortable in some way, shape, or form to varying degrees or another. And I'm no different than anybody else. I had some bumpy experiences. And when we're young, we don't really have the tools to navigate the intensity of those experiences. What's great is when we're older, we are afforded opportunities to start dealing with those experiences and to start working through the thoughts and the emotions that we had and carry those tools throughout the rest of our life. But until we start developing some of those tools, it can look a little sassy. It can look a little rebellious. It can look a little snarky, shall we say? What would you say?
Yeah, narky is a topic all of its own, I think, Lori. Because if I address that one, then that would probably be more than 20 minutes.
No, I said
definitely,
snarky, hun.
Okay, all right. Yeah, sulky for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little mix of
if you were gonna go the narky route, then I would have to go into a whole codependency sidetrack. So no.
Different recording.
Yeah.
A mix of
no,
sarcasm and naughtiness. Snarky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Snarky, rebellious, bolshy even. And sometimes it can even get worse than that.
Yes.
So it can, extend into just like an utter defiance and a total rejection of authority or societal norms, criminality even. And those are all actually trauma responses and coping mechanisms because of the resistance that we're holding. So yes, definitely.
Yeah. And we've said in a few recordings that these feelings really do want to come up for release. They really do want to be healed. And the more energy that we put into resisting that, the more that resistance is going to build. Like you said, it can land a lot of people into trouble, legally and otherwise. So how do we how do we prevent that from going all the way into the legal system and tripping over ourselves and face planting all over the place? How do we even begin to recognize that perhaps we are in a pattern of resistance and we might want to make some changes in order to avoid those fail forwards, shall we say, really delicately?
And even physical disease, Laurie,
Yeah,
that is another very frequent
yeah,
result of resistance.
very real.
The
Yeah,
thing is to understand what the nature of resistance actually is. Resistance is actually just a fancy sounding name for fear.
yeah, yeah. That's true.
When to say that we are in resistance or we are pushing something away or we won't look at something or acknowledge something, what we're actually saying is, I'm scared of this thing.
Yeah,
I'm scared of this thing. So I'm going to find a way to protect myself or shield myself from it, refuse to look at it somehow or another. And that usually involves a lot of judgment of ourselves and of the so-called causes or reasons why whatever it is we're holding resistance about exists in the first place. So the answer to the question is wrapped up in understanding the nature of resistance itself.
right.
Is to get either brave enough to face the fear, or just, I've simply had it enough to be so tired of it
Right.
and the repetitive patterning of it to decide, you know what, I don't want to do this actually, but I just have to now because I don't want the other even less.
Right. Our
And
discomfort.
sometimes a personal crisis like severe physical illness
Mhm.
will force us to confront these things that are damaging us and hurting us. That was true in my case.
And
So
mine as well.
it is about and just
My discomfort
yeah,
propelled me forward enough to really want to create some change. Absolutely.
yeah, exactly. So that is the way that we go about doing that.
Mm.
But to do it better, to do it with a greater skill set, more tools, is actually pretty simple. It comes down to wrapping yourself around a couple of things. And the first is a few things that one just needs to let go of.
Right.
Most of those things are false. Most of those things are identifications that don't hold true. A lot of them are emotional issues around worth and deservability, innate value, and just a general smalling up of the self. It is literally an inability or a refusal to acknowledge who we truly are.
Mm.
And the fact that we are not even nearly as fragile as we've told ourselves we are. Not even nearly. And our culture has evolved, sadly, in an extension of this wokeness to where we treat one another now like a word could make us fall apart. And it's such utter nonsense. It is such utter nonsense. And I see that even in the personal growth field. I see that within the healing community, where everything has now become such a gentle invitation to perhaps consider, instead of just owning what the truth actually is. I mean, I'm not being unkind if I'm just giving it to you straight. I'm not trying to be harsh or hurtful. I'm just being honest. And is there a way to do that horribly? Sure. But if that's not what someone is doing, then why on earth do we believe that we are so fragile that we couldn't even handle the truth? And so that becomes so counterproductive to actually accessing the power at your core, actually understanding who you truly are and how strong and amazing and incredible you are. So I would, if I could give people any advice, start there. Stop lying to yourself. Stop making yourself so freaking small, so fragile, so powerless.
Well, and on the flip
It's
side
not
of
true.
it's not. It's so not true. And on the flip side of that, you mentioned how a word can make somebody feel so fragile. The other swing of the pendulum that I also see, in society, and especially in the last few years, there's a lot of ego strength. It's a false strength that
Oh, yeah.
people have developed, that we have gone for we always talk about the polarities, right? Or the dualities.
Yes.
There's the super fragile, one word can crumble somebody, or the flip side is that one word can really unleash the beast.
True. So, so true. This false bravado,
Yeah.
the hot air in the balloon, the arrogance. Definitely. You're so right. You're
And the
so, so
aggression.
right.
I mean, it can really bring out a lot of aggression and assertiveness
Yeah.
in an unhealthy way, and that's why I guess I call it a false strength, is that's
Yeah.
still not stepping into your strength. It's still not stepping into your essential self. It's swinging from wounded self to wounded self.
Yes. Yes. And
So
either extreme is actually afraid.
yeah, it's a defense mechanism, right? And
Yes.
depending on which way you're defending, you're still not getting to the truth, and you're still not getting to the essence of who you are. You're still resisting in some way. You're resisting either with poor me, or no, you don't, sister.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Exactly. And that comes down to how much character development has actually gone before that moment. Because ironically, it is the strong character that will choose the fragile coping mechanism. And it is the weak character that will choose the aggressive, arrogant coping mechanism.
Yeah, fierce isn't necessarily a compliment. Yeah, and with all due respect to the people that are, fierce, I hear you, I feel you, I was there too, but it wasn't my authentic self. It wasn't truly who I am emerging. It was just another aspect of my wound coming out, because honestly, I was tired of feeling weak. And
Yeah.
you know, let's talk about that gray area again. The pendulum swung over here, the pendulum swung over here, and now when the pendulum stops swinging a little bit, we do start to develop a little sense of calm and a little sense of curiosity of, why am I reacting this way? Why am I feeling so much intensity, with whatever way the pendulum is swinging, and really starting to explore the foundation of why we feel that way. What is it that we're covering up or defending or protecting or afraid of? And how can I
Yes.
move through that, those insecurities and those fears, to put them in the rearview mirror, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And that's the thing. We always, if we're on one end of the spectrum, then the first thing that happens with momentum is that we overcorrect to the other extent, and then that momentum has to dissipate somewhat before eventually we do begin to find that middle way. And that way does eventually lead to where the true power lies and is the undoing of either extreme.
Mm-hmm.
But finding that middle way and actually effectively healing ourselves is the point. So many people find the middle way and then stay there.
Yes.
They stay in that gray zone, that morally ambiguous place where they never truly find themselves.
Yeah.
And the fact is, we don't ever really know anyone until they've done their personal healing. Because what we know and what we experience is this wound,
Mm-hmm.
that wound,
Mm-hmm.
or this ambiguity. No real and true self can ever actually shine through. And for me, the more attached an individual is to their notions of personality and what makes them different on a surface level, the less in touch they actually are with that true essence at the core. Because at our core, we are all light,
Yes.
love, beautiful states of being that we can recognize in one another. Because this little separate construct that knows itself as Melissa, she's finite. She exists for a little while. But the essence that is getting to live through her right now, that is my true identity. So the more that I identify with that,
Yeah.
the more I am in the unity consciousness that allows me to see you as another me.
Yeah.
Another facet of the light I shine. Another reflection of the love I am.
Mm.
Another canvas of a different kind of beauty.
Yeah.
And so for me, that is what true healing looks like, is when it's no longer about the little self,
Right.
me and I, but we have managed to access, by letting go of resistance, so much more of who we've always been and always will be.
And when we are accessing that, and we do start to get a taste of that, and we do start to understand what it means to live that, it inevitably trickles down into the thoughts and the emotions and right into the cells and right into the body. And that's when we really start to see how powerful we really are, is when we start to see that love and that gratitude and that joy that is our pure self, our diamond sparkly self. When we start to, well, embody it, right? It is literal embodiment of that essence of ourself. We can't help but notice that this is going to be obvious in how our body functions, and in how our body performs, and in how we sleep, and in how we digest, and all of the things, really.
The quality of our relationships, the quality of what we are able to project out into our lives for ourselves. It's going to improve all of that. And it all lies on the other side of this resistance that we've decided keeps us safe. It doesn't keep us safe. It keeps us tiny.
Yeah.
It keeps us unexpanded. It
Yeah.
keeps us unevolved, unenlightened. It keeps us trapped.
Yeah.
So it's about learning to see that that resistance is not our friend. It's not actually protecting us.
Yeah.
Because it hurts just as much on this side of that barrier as we think it does on the outside of it.
Yeah.
It hurts an exactly equal amount.
Right.
So the only thing that's going to stop the hurt is to actually break down that barrier of resistance. That is, once again, our freedom.
And those barriers can be felt internally too, right? You know, those barriers, or that, perhaps maybe a better way to describe it inside of a body would be the lack of flow. Our blood is supposed to be circulating freely and effortlessly, and cells are supposed to just move along almost like a dance in a way. And organs are supposed to do these functions that are supposed to be effortless. But when we have a boatload of resistance in our lives, in our thoughts, in our emotions, we are going to have resistance within our bodies too. Our cells can actually start sticking to each other, and they can actually start stacking on top of each other, or what's called coining. And blood doesn't flow as freely.
In energetic terms, a block. You're creating a block.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the lymphatic system itself has to flow, or we are going to see health issues pop up left and right. So if there's a boatload of resistance going on in our body, and that natural state of flow is blocked, and it is completely interrupted, we just can't expect to feel well in our bodies either. So I would definitely encourage, if people are not feeling the flow in whatever shape or way that takes, is to really practice the pause, I guess, for lack of a better explanation, and really starting to have the courage to get honest with the self and seeing why we're feeling so resistant. What is driving these feelings of resistance? Yes.
Yes, and what blasts through fear?
Yeah.
What obliterates fear into the non-reality that it is? There's nothing like love.
Mm.
So no matter what you're going through, no matter what you think you have resistance about, no matter what you're afraid of, if you can find a way to connect to the frequency of love, love is what dissolves resistance. Love is what can break through that block. And love is what will set you free. And if even all that you can do is close your eyes and just tell yourself, love, 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 6 times. Love, 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 love. Do it until you feel it. You will. You will. And it will begin to break resistance down.
Because fear and love can't exist in the same moment. They just cannot
No,
exist simultaneously.
exactly. Exactly.
And if you need to turn on some music that is all about love, there I can't even imagine how many songs there are about love. Turn on a song that really resonates with you regarding love, play it on repeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a favorite for many years that I played every single morning to set the tone for the day in love, not in fear, not in resistance, not in frustration, but like you said, just setting the tone in love. And when we start developing those patterns, our body responds rather quickly. We immediately start to
Yes.
soften. That stiff resistance just starts to melt like butter. And
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can
Love
start,
on a puppy dog.
yes,
Love a rose. Love your coffee. Love,
yeah,
love, 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 love.
yes. Love, 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 love. Thank you for connecting with Light for Life. If you appreciate reminders, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can receive those notifications. If you would like to work with one of us, you can find our contact information in the About section of this channel.
Yes, thank you for connecting with Light for Life. Please share your insights, your questions, and your comments with us in the comment section below. We value your feedback. And we really hope that we will see you for our next episode. We upload one every Thursday. Until then, bye-bye and be joyful.
Until we connect again, we send you love and light.